accessible over the internet. You can run applications, databases, web servers, and so on. Clouds are usually of three types: public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. In public cloud, use a third-party cloud service like Azure or GCP. In private cloud, you would be having the servers physically in your own data centers. Hybrid cloud is a mix of both, where some resources will be on your private cloud, some resources on a public cloud. For this workshop, we will be using cloud VMs or virtual machines for testing our configuration. Azure subscription. As we know, most cloud platforms are subscription based. We pay for the resources we use. However, since all of us are students here, we can use the Azure student plan for our purposes. Follow the link in slide and use your academic email. Let me know when you're done activating. You can use this link to land up in this page and come to start free. I will just be waiting for 2 minutes for you. So do it. Okay. Security posture. What do we exactly mean by security posture? But prior to that, let us have a quick look on why we need security. We have all heard about hacking and stuff where we lose data. Data is altered or stolen and so on. These are all security threats to our applications. Hence, the security posture is defined as our ability to protect from and respond to security threats. And it is redundant to say that maintaining a strong security posture is important. We can't let unauthorized people access or play with our data. Data is the oil of the 21st century. Security posture usually comprises of three main principles, namely confidentiality, integrity, and availability, also known as CIA together. Confidentiality ensures only the people whom we give access to our data can see our data. We also have authorization levels. Some will have read-only accesses, some will have read-write access, and so on. Integrity makes sure that there is no unauthorized change in data, and this both at rest and in transit. We need to make sure that the data is intact as we sent it or stored it. There should not be any changes. The last one, availability. It is to make sure that we can access the data or the resource when we need it. Attackers may disrupt this by using denial of service or DOS attacks. Our resources should be resilient to such attacks. Securing data is your standalone machines where if no one is allowed to touch the machine, no one can get the data. But now we are dealing with cloud which is always accessible for the internet. Hence, securing data is an extensive procedure. Here, the data is enclosed in several layers depending on how the data is being accessed. As visible in this slide, our application directly accesses the data. The application running on a computer resource like virtual machine. The resource is now accessible over a pub network which may or may not be connected to the public internet. Then the network must have a perimeter like a firewall which allows or disallows access to the network. Then comes identity and access. Here, the authorized user should be using proper username and password for logging in for accessing the data. Last one is physical security. It just involves safekeeping of the devices where the data is physically stored. However, we don't need to much think about this because the data is stored on Microsoft data centers. Same as the previous slide, for security, we need to keep our devices with access to our data safe. Come on, I am pretty sure we all have left our phones or laptops with good sensitive data lying around. Coming to identity and access, we need to use strong passwords for controlling access to our resources. The passwordless authentication is becoming the new trend now. We are not discussing it today. Then comes perimeter or network perimeter. It blocks unauthorized attempts to reach our network resources. Primarily, this includes DDoS protection and the firewall. Coming to the network layer, it signifies we do not need to make everything facing towards the public internet. For example, our program running on a virtual machine may need to communicate with a database on Azure itself. Why risk it by connecting it through the public internet when we can use the Azure backbone network itself? It is much more secure. Compute layer includes our physical compute resources like virtual machines. For securing the compute layer, we need to keep the compute resources updated to the latest security patches and operating systems. Application layer deals with our application. We need to be sure that our programs are free from any form of known vulnerability and source all sensitive data securely. Last and most important, data. We can store data in disks of a VM, a database, or in a cloud storage. If a software as a service application can be used to securely store data. For example, this presentation that I am presenting now is stored in OneDrive securely. Okay, so next what we are going to do is a hands-on task. Here you will be creating a virtual machine, install Apache 2 to use it as a web server, and then configure a firewall. Let's go. Open Azure portal and search for a virtual machine. You can find the VM here, VM in this, or you can even search for it. Okay. Now you can just make a new VM. And use these config. Okay, so let's get started. Resource group will be new. Just give the name as anything. Region should be East US. And the image should be the server 1804 LTS. The size is this one only, V1S, and we will make our new username and password for the VM. And in the select inbound ports, select all select all three of them, and then you can just review it and review and review and like create it. Have to give a new IP address. So, yeah, yes, okay. Yes, so now just create it. It will take some it will take some time for deploying it. The next step we have is to configure web server on the virtual machine. Let us connect to the VM via SSH or secure shell. Open your command prompt and type SSH followed by the username of the VM at the public IP. This one is the public IP of the public IP of the virtual machine. Okay, so we can go in. Hope so. And are we all at this stage? Everyone is like over with this part. So let's just wait for a minute and then we can continue. Okay, so I think we can. So we can just open the CMD and write SSH, then the username which you set at at your IP address. Yeah. It will ask to save your fingerprint, accept it, and then add your password. It will not be shown as you type. Just type it and hit enter. So so here, as you see, we are we are in the VM. Okay. Hopefully, you are now logged in to the VM now. Update the packages and install Apache 2 as web server. It would take some time to install. So just update the packages by writing sudo apt-get update. Am I in? Yeah, in. And then we will just upgrade the existing packages. Just hit Y. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now it's updated. So we will be installing the Apache 2 web server by writing sudo apt-get install Apache Apache 2. Okay, just hit Y. When the process is complete, try to open the public IP of the VM on your browser. If the Apache web page comes up, good job. Your web server will be up. So let's see if it's up. So let's just copy this IP address and we will just paste it. So see, it's up. Okay. And I hope for you all it's also up. Or I'll just wait for like 2 minutes for you to complete the installation. Uh, you can see these codes on the slide. Wait, we just type the IP and it open, right? That means anyone can open our web page hosted on our web server. Hopefully, everyone here has two devices, a laptop and a smartphone. Any two devices will work. We will configure the firewall in such a way that the web page is accessible from your machine, but not another. Preferably, we will keep this web accessible from your PC, but not your smartphone. Just make sure both the devices are not in the same Wi-Fi or mobile hotspot. Keep both devices in different networks. Try opening the web page from both your devices now and check if it works. So let's check this out. Yeah. For me, it's 20.127.34.146. Yeah. So I can't share my, I can share my video it seems here from this. Yes, so if you can see it also, so like it also shows in my phone. Fine. Okay, so let's like configure the configure the network. You need to find the PC's public IP address and note it down. The easiest way to find your public IP is to Google up, find my IP, and it will show. Note down this IP so we can check it out. Just type in find my IP, and it will show your IP. Just like and and you can just like note it down. Yeah. Now let's go to the networking tab of the VN to see the firewall rules. Take a moment to see these rules first before we start to configure. So let's see them. Yeah. Yeah. And you can find the networking tab on this site. And all these are our firewall rules. Okay, so you can just see them, like try to understand them first, and then we can continue. Okay, so let's see this. Our web page is served over HTTP. So we are going to change the firewall rules associated to the HTTP traffic. Click on it and change source field to IP addresses. Now add your PC public IP in the IP address range and hit save. Wait for a few seconds and check it again. So we will just come to the HTTP traffic, and then we will change the source to IP addresses, and we will copy this IP and paste it in this and save. Let it update. or you can just even, and you can also use the like a sided the range as well. If you want to make it into a range of into a range of IPs. So let's now try opening the IP from both the phone and the PC. See, PC again. Okay, it will take it will take it will take it will take time to check on the time to check on the phone because it will be an because it will be a request timed out. Okay, so you can also so and as well you can also test it by pinging the site if it's accessible. You will just write ping and then the IP 127.4.146. Okay, and it won't open on the phone. You can try it out. It will be stuck for a long time and then so it has timed out. After firewall, our next topic is DDoS protection. Distributed denial of service attack is an attempt to overwhelm the network and block further traffic so that the legitimate users cannot access the resources. This is just one side of DDoS that the actual users cannot access the website. But when on cloud, DDoS has another aspect. In cloud, we usually use stick scaling on our resources, scales up our resources depending upon the load. During a DDoS attack, load on our resources increase and elastic scaling may scale up the resources, incurring additional charges on the cloud bill. Azure Azure provides two service tiers for DDoS protection: basic tier and standard tier. The basic tier DDoS protection is automatically enabled as a part of Azure subscription. It includes always on traffic monitoring, real-time mitigation of common network-level attacks, fights the same defenses that Microsoft Online Services use. It ensures as your infrastructure is not affected during a DDoS attack. Standard tier DDoS protection provides additional threat mitigation capabilities tuned specifically for our virtual network services. Standard DDoS protection policy can be applied to public IP addresses, the resources, the load balancers, and application gateways. Third most important network security configuration for Azure resources is network security groups or NSGs. DDoS protection can help us against attacks that originate from the public internet. But there are high chances that the attacker is also using compute resources on Azure itself to attack. Network security groups protect our resources from all such attacks. Let's see the network security group rules. Go to the networking tab under the VM and click on the name of the NASG. Let's go to the networking tab under the VM and click on the name of the NASG. So you can see this, I hope. Before going into the details of a network security group, let us see what ports are. A port number is a communication endpoint on application layer of a device. For example, HTTP by default runs on port 80. It means if you are making a request to a web server at port 80, you are most probably requesting for a web page. Similarly, HTTPS uses port 443, SSH uses port 22, FTP uses port 20, so on. Ports 1 to 10, 23 are called system ports and they are used by various system applications. Ports 1024 to 49151 are called registered ports and are used by third-party applications or user applications. Ports 49152 to 65535 are called ephemeral ports that are dynamically assigned to applications during usage. For example, when opening a web page, we know we are connecting to the port 80 of the web server. But from which port is the connection initiated from our computer? It's any one of the ephemeral ports. In the NSG settings, you can configure the inbound security rules. For example, you want to make a cloud-based chatting application exclusively for you and your friend. Here, you may not want the ports used by your applications to be publicly available. So you can say the NFG rules to allow only your and your friends' IP addresses. There can be many more use cases. Like you see, these are all the rules. Okay, you can easily like edit any rule in this and also add rules like these. And for adding rules, just come to this tab, this tab, the inbound security rules, and click on add. So you can add your own rules from this page. Okay, let's go. Well, this is a sandbox exercise where learn. In this exercise, we can create a VM, then create a NASD to allow inbound access to the port 80 of your VM, and you will be using say the and you will be using the CLI. So you can just use this link, and you can try this, and and you can this uh, try this for your practice. Okay, it's just the easy thing. Okay, you can easily like see the you can easily and you can easily like see the codes from this, and you can try this out. Okay, yeah, this. We are at the end of the presentation. Today, we have discussed three most important aspects of cloud network security, namely firewall configuration, DoS protection, and configuring network security groups. These three can be effectively combined to make the applications, resources, and data more secure. And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditya. So I hope everyone learned something new today. And in starting, it may feel difficult, but believe me, it is not. For you all guys, we will be sharing the PPT so that you can use it for the future reference. Yep. So
Yeah.
if we wind up the session, yeah. Yes. Okay. So again, thank you all for joining with us. Yeah. We'll meet at next week. Thank you for coming.